Imagine being told repeatedly that you're simply not good enough, not even good enough to sell fried chicken. 30 rejection letters pile up one after another, and you still don't have a job. You still don't have money. And if we're being honest, your only real degree seems to be in failure. Sounds like a dead end, doesn't it? A one-way ticket to obscurity. Except this isn't some tragic tale. This is the exact runway one determined teacher from a small second-tier Chinese city used to take off, soaring toward a $200 billion empire. Stick around because every single no he heard is about to make your biggest setback feel, well, absolutely tiny. Get ready because this is a story about turning impossible odds into an undeniable legacy. Jack Ma grew up in Hangzhou, a city that back then was still wonderfully sleepy, far from the bustling tech hub it is today. He was hungry for knowledge, for connection. He'd cycle for hours, not for exercise, but just to find foreign tourists. Why? So he could practice English, listening intently, soaking up every word. But academic life? That was a different story. His math teacher famously called him a rock that can't be carved. Ouch, right? And it didn't stop there. High school exit exams? His math score was a dismal 1 out of 120. College? He flunked the national entrance exam not once but twice. It felt like every door was slamming shut in his face. Then came the mid-90s and KFC, that iconic American fast food giant, opened its first branch in his hometown. 24 people applied for server jobs. 23 were hired. Guess who was the only one rejected? Yep, Jack. Even Harvard, the pinnacle of academic achievement, became a recurring nightmare. 10 applications, 10 polite, yet firm rejections. The local police force, in a moment that almost sounds like a comedy sketch, told him he looked wimpy and wouldn't last a foot chase. Can you imagine? By his own count, he was turned away from 30 different employers. 30. That's a staggering number, a testament to relentless discouragement. Yet through it all, something remarkable happened. Every morning he still rode that rickety bicycle, still greeted tourists with an unshakable grin, still believed deep down that something bigger was coming his way. Friends would joke that if rejection burned calories, Jack would be a marathon runner, probably an Olympic champion. He kept a notebook, not for complaints, but meticulously labeled, "Why I Failed Today." He filled it with lessons learned, with observations, with strategies for the next attempt, instead of bitterness. That notebook, filled with the raw data of his setbacks, became the first asset he never had to depreciate. It was his personal masterclass in resilience, paid for in repeated disappointments. Then, in 1995, a flicker of light. Jack flew to Seattle, not for a vacation, but as a translator, helping a Chinese firm collect a debt. It was there, in a friend's home, that he encountered something utterly alien, something that would change everything, the World Wide Web. His friends showed him how to use it, and Jack, ever curious, typed beer into the search bar. Results poured in from Germany, from the US, but nothing, absolutely nothing, from China. He tried China, 0 hits. In that slow, grating, dial-up screech, amidst the static and the nascent pixels, Jack didn't hear a dying connection. He heard opportunity knocking, loud and clear. He saw a gaping void, a massive unmet need. He returned to China, buzzing with this revelation. He borrowed $2,000, a princely sum for him at the time, and launched his first online venture, a single, admittedly ugly web page he called China Pages. He watched, mesmerized, as emails, those digital whispers, began to trickle in. People wanted to know more. They wanted to connect. The site bled cash, of course. Internet cables hadn't reached most of the country yet, and skepticism was rampant. Many scoffed, calling the internet a passing fad. But Jack had seen the future, and he was hooked. He eventually closed China Pages, but not before meticulously dissecting what worked, what didn't, and why. He tucked those hard-won lessons into his mental toolkit, refining his vision. Most people would have stopped at, "The internet is a fad." Jack, however, stopped only at, "I need a bigger canvas. I need to bring this to my people." He understood that the internet wasn't just a tool, it was a bridge. Fast forward to February 1999. The setting was humble, a tiny, cramped flat in Hangzhou. Jack, with his characteristic fire in his belly, gathered 17 friends, some of them his former students, all of whom trusted him implicitly. He stood before them, not with a fancy presentation, but with raw passion, and pitched an audacious idea. Let's build a company that helps small Chinese manufacturers, the backbone of the economy, sell their goods to the entire world. They pooled their meager savings, a total of $60,000. The furniture in their makeshift office was scavenged, mismatched, but the ambition was anything but. The name, he insisted, had to be global, easy to spell, easy to remember, something with universal appeal. Alibaba. He asked the only English speaker in the room, "Do you know the story of Alibaba and the 40 thieves?" They nodded, captivated. "Good," he declared, his eyes gleaming. "Open sesame to opportunity." It was a bold, almost reckless declaration. China in the late 90s was still largely cash-based, with rudimentary logistics and widespread distrust of online transactions. Yet Jack's conviction was infectious, and it paid off. Within 4 months, a major validation arrived. Goldman Sachs wired $25 million. Shortly after, SoftBank's visionary Masayoshi Son, captivated by Jack's energy and vision, followed with another $20 million. These weren't just investments. They were lifelines, votes of confidence that fueled the nascent company. Skeptics still abounded, of course. China has no credit cards, no proper logistics, no trust, they cried. Jack's reply was classic Ma. We'll build the road while we drive on it. He wasn't waiting for perfection. He was creating it, piece by piece, brick by digital brick. By 2003, a formidable Goliath had emerged in the Chinese e-commerce landscape. eBay, the global auction powerhouse, owned a staggering 85% of China's consumer-to-consumer market through its local acquisition, EachNet. They were dominant, seemingly untouchable. But Jack Ma wasn't one to shy away from a fight. He launched Taobao, Mandarin for digging for treasure, a direct competitor. The battle was fierce, a true David versus Goliath showdown. eBay, with its deep pockets, took out massive billboards, plastered its brand everywhere. Taobao, with its scrappy startup mentality, countered with a revolutionary offer, free listings. Where eBay charged commissions on every sale, Taobao ate the cost, betting on volume and user loyalty. Investors screamed, "We're bleeding money. This isn't sustainable." Jack, ever the strategist, calmly replied, "First we grow roots, then we grow fruits." He understood that in a nascent market like China, user acquisition and trust were paramount, not immediate profit. But the biggest hurdle wasn't just fees, it was trust. Chinese buyers were understandably wary of sending money to strangers online. How could you ensure you'd get what you paid for? This fundamental problem gave birth to Alipay. It was an ingenious escrow system. Your money was held securely by Alipay until you, the buyer, confirmed receipt in satisfaction with your purchase. Only then was the payment released to the seller. Overnight, the often risky act of online bartering suddenly felt as safe and familiar as handing money to your neighbor. It fundamentally changed the game. Facing an insurmountable, trust-driven competitive disadvantage, eBay shuttered its China site in 2006. Taobao didn't just win, it became the market standard, a phenomenon that left every Western analyst who had confidently declared, "Free is not a business model," Googling the word ecosystem in bewildered awe. This victory wasn't just about market share. It was about understanding and empowering the Chinese consumer in a way no foreign company could. This triumph, fueled by the momentum of its success, also set the stage for Alibaba's initial public offering on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in 2007, a crucial step in raising capital and further solidifying its growing influence. Then came Singles' Day. What started as an anti-Valentine's joke for bachelors on November 11, 2009, Jack, with his marketing genius, turned into a global shopping festival. It wasn't just a sale, it was an event, a cultural phenomenon. This annual spectacle grew exponentially, shattering sales records year after year. It was a clear demonstration of Alibaba's immense power and reach. By 2014, the world was ready. Alibaba rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, not just with a bang, but with a roar. It raised an astonishing $25 billion, making it, at the time, the largest public offering in history. That day, Jack Ma, the perennial reject, the English teacher, officially became the richest man in China. The market value of the company he founded in a tiny apartment crossed $200 billion and kept climbing, defying all expectations. Analysts, scrambling for comparisons, likened Alibaba's meteoric rise to Amazon. But Jack, ever keen to differentiate, shrugged off the comparison. Amazon is a shopping mall. We are a shopping ecosystem, a payment system, a cloud provider, a logistics network, and we throw in the kitchen sink. He was right. Alibaba wasn't just a retailer. It was a foundational layer of China's digital economy. Investors who had never tasted Hangzhou's famous Longjing tea suddenly knew its stock ticker by heart, their portfolios swelling thanks to the rock that couldn't be carved. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine. Jack Ma isn't just a businessman, he's a philosopher of perseverance, and he sums up his entire mindset in one powerful, often quoted line. Never give up. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine. It's a brutal honesty that acknowledges the struggle, but always points to the light. He deliberately hires people smarter than himself, a strategy he playfully calls bringing in taller poles to raise the tent. He understood that true leadership isn't about being the smartest person in the room, but about assembling the smartest team and empowering them. He views failure not as an endpoint, but as essential data. When Taobao's early servers inevitably crashed under the weight of exploding traffic, a moment of panic for any startup, he didn't scold or blame. Instead, he rallied the team, telling them, "Customers can see our smile through the phone." It was a reminder to maintain composure, focus on the user experience, and project confidence even amidst chaos. Failure, he insists, is like a thermometer. It doesn't kill you, but it tells you exactly where you stand and whether you need to pivot your strategy or simply persevere with renewed vigor. It's a feedback mechanism, not a death sentence. To this day, even after stepping away from the daily grind, he still dedicates time to writing thousands of handwritten notes to employees annually, thanking them for carrying the dream while I hold the flashlight. It's a profound testament to his belief in collective effort and the human connection that built his empire. In 2013, at the peak of Alibaba's ascent, Jack Ma made a surprising move. So, next time you open an email or a letter that starts with that all-too-familiar phrase, "We regret to inform you," don't despair. Remember Jack Ma's stack of 30 denials, each one a brick in the foundation of his future empire. Each "no" he received didn't diminish him. It carved out space, creating the necessary void for an even bigger "yes" to eventually fill. The empire he built isn't just an e-commerce site. It's a living, breathing argument that failure isn't a dead end. It's simply unpaid tuition for a masterclass in persistence, a crucial part of your entrepreneurial education. If you got rejected this week, congratulations. You're now officially enrolled in the school of Jack Ma. Keep pedaling that bicycle, metaphorically speaking. Keep greeting the tourists in your life, seeking out connections and opportunities, and most importantly, keep scribbling in your own "Why I Failed Today" notebook, turning setbacks into strategies. Because one day, you too might ring a bell of your own, whether it's on Wall Street or in the quiet achievement of your personal dreams. Until then, subscribe for more stories that turn setbacks into setups. And seriously, drop your biggest rejection in the comments, because your chapter 2 might just start with somebody else's "no."